Hello again. So we want to finish this up. This is the part of the class where unfortunately we can't do it, but we would be actually looking at textbooks and how it goes through things. One of the things that you need to be looking for in your textbooks are there's a piece called a scope and sequence. There should be a scope and sequence in your teacher's manuals somewhere for your textbooks that outlines what is going on in that particular um, from that particular textbook company from beginning to end across grades. What standards are being hit, what content is being hit, what minor points are being hit. There should be in your teacher's manual somewhere a piece called the scope and sequence, which we would be looking at if we were in class and could get our hands on actual textbooks. When you are back in the schools once again, if you think about it, look at your teachers manuals to see if you can find a scope and sequence rather than going through the book one page at a time. So, as you're looking at long-term curriculum planning here, long term is lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson from beginning to end of the school year, which is can be an extremely daunting task. And I would suggest to you at this point, when you begin your teaching career, that you stick as closely as you can to the textbooks that you are given and to what is being done, what has been done. Talk to the teachers there because you don't want to go too far afield and try too many new things to start with. You want to build as you go, but you don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want you overwhelmed. I want you comfortable. It's going to be daunting enough. The where the rubber really hits the road is when you are have your first job, you're standing in your classroom and you're waiting for all of your little cherubs to come in the very first day, and all of a sudden the realization hits you that you have no cooperating teacher, you have no supervisor in the room with you, you are on your own. And it can be a very overwhelming thing for you. So don't go off the beaten path too far too fast. Stick with what you know. Long-term curriculum planning is an important job. You have to do it. If you're teaching in a self contained classroom, as most elementary schools do, you have the freedom to write as long as it relates to the district and state standards. Now, if you are in a group of teachers, if there are three or four third grades or three or four fifth grades, and they're all working on the same thing at the same time, then you need to follow in lockstep, but you can still teach it on your own terms. You have to know those standards. You have to stick with the standards. And if the school district has specific assessments that must be used, you need to deal with those assessments as well. If you're working team teaching, you need to articulate your vision of the curriculum to your teammates. There has to be some give and go. You can't have you shouldn't have one person leading the charge and the rest of everybody just being pulled along. That happens sometimes, but that's not the best case scenario. You may have to adjust some of your ideas, and you may be able to incorporate some of your ideas, some things that they never thought of, or a way of looking at things that they never thought to look at in the way that you're seeing it. As you are doing this, the curriculum you create will improve with experience. You can't expect to be an A number one teacher right out of the chute. You have to get some experience under your belt. You have to get some time time in the classroom under your belt, and you have to be knocked around a little bit. I'll just be real honest with you. As you see the effects of your original planning and you assess your students' mastery of the standards, you're going to reflect on your planning and find ways to improve it as you go along. Yes, every succeeding year, as the text said, but every day you're going to find something that you thought they knew or that you didn't think they knew, And you can build on that because now you know that they either know it or they don't, and you're going to have to backtrack, or you can skate ahead. You have to know your kids, you have to know what they're doing, and that's why it is so, so very important to activate that background knowledge. Hayes Jacobs recommends that faculty members in a school work together to map the curriculum. There it is. So everyone on the staff knows what is actually going on in a classroom. I don't know how you're going to be teaching your lesson, but I know what you should be teaching sometime during that year. So when I have your students next year, I know they should have already had this particular concept. This strategy requires teachers to meet and create the maps for each subject area or grade level. This is called articulation. You articulate between grades, between your grades if you're teaching in multiple with multiple teachers in the same grades, and up and down the curriculum, up and down the grades, and this creates your vertical and horizontal curriculum. That's where you want your school to be, and that's why I have said it is so very, very important. These maps include a brief description of content, a description of processes and skills, types of assessments to be used to demonstrate students have achieved the skills and met the standards. A curriculum map without the assessments included is worthless. You have to have assessments in there. Not that you have to do that very same assessment, but you need to see how these standards are being assessed. You need to know how those standards are being assessed. Is this piece expected at mastery for this grade level or for this content area during this academic year, or is it a piece that's introduced here and then next year it's done for mastery? It makes all the difference in the world as to how your assessments are arranged when you know how the students need to learn the material. And when you begin teaching, you may be assigned to a curriculum task force or planning committee. These are big. You may have to do this. You may get in on it, and you may want to, even if you're not named to one right off the bat or soon after that, you might want to just sit in there and listen to the discussion to get an idea. In discussions with your colleagues, you're likely to gain new insights and information, but you may also experience frustration with points of view that differ from your own ideas. One of the things you're going to have to find and you're going to have to deal with are multiple ways of attacking a problem. When you are in these committees, you're not always going to agree with everyone. You're not always going to understand where they're coming from or how they plan to get there, and it may not be the way you do things. It may go completely against your philosophical stance. You need to just sit and listen. Unless the discussion is going way off the track, you need to just sit and listen for a while and absorb, think about it, and then react. Don't react. Don't roll your eyes. Don't sigh. Just sit there and hold it in and then think about it. Be prepared to speak assertively about your own ideas and beliefs, but I would add a caveat to that: only when you're sure about the direction things are going. Don't jump in. Don't jump in until you are sure and you have a rationale for feeling or saying the things you're saying. You don't just jump in and give your opinion with nothing to back it up. And that takes experience and that takes some time. You may be the one to suggest innovative ways of dividing the curriculum in units. You never know. Somebody may not have thought about this. I had this happen just a few weeks ago on Faculty Senate. We're talking about building rubrics for doing program prioritization with all the academic areas, and they were talking about a 5-point rubric. And I said, well, I finally said, I don't say much in those meetings because I always feel like I'm not exactly sure. And I finally suggested, instead of a 5-point rubric, if you use a 4-point rubric, then you have to fall on the high side or the low side of the middle. You can't just default to the middle. You have to pick a side. And they liked it. And that's how it's being proposed to the rest of the faculty and to the president. So, who knows? You might come up with a really good idea, but you have to have that rationale there. Although your ideas may meet skepticism or resistance from some teacher, it's quite appropriate for you to articulate them because schools rely on fresh ideas from faculty members with the most recent college or university training to enhance the curriculum and create positive innovations and change. Just don't try to ram your ideas down somebody's throat. You say what you have to say and you back off. You don't need to just jam it down somebody's throat. Now, we're gonna stop there. That's the end of what I have. But what I want to tell you is this. I don't like this. I don't like teaching this way. There I am. And I hate that all this has happened. You have my phone number. It's on the syllabus. If you ever need to get a hold of me, some of you I will have in class in the fall. Hopefully we'll be back on campus. But don't hesitate to call me. You have my email, you have my cell phone. You know where my office is. It's upstairs above where Cindy McAndrews is if you've been to see her. Please don't hesitate to call, to text if you need something. Give me a holler. I'll be happy to help, especially with lesson plans next semester. If you need help, you just have to holler. I'll be happy to help as best I can. And don't feel like you're bothering me. I want to know if you need help. Please, please, please get in touch with me. I hope you stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in right now. Hopefully this will pass. Our big 4th of July has already been canceled here in Steelville, which makes me really sad, but it is what it is. And I hope you have a really good summer. Let's get this garbage out of our lives and get back to normal. And if you need me, just give me a holler.